With podcasts getting more and more popular, you wouldn't have expected new podcasts to really come out of nowhere and get big, especially not in a genre that isn't necessarily very popular. Well, that's kinda where you would end up getting surprised. You see, on the 5th of June 2020, a new podcast would be released. And against most odds, this podcast would end up getting really big. It would end up getting so big to where it was one of the biggest podcasts on YouTube. How did it happen? Well, let me explain. You see, Trash Taste was formed by 3 different popular anime YouTubers. We had the Anime Man that kinda just talked about anything anime and gaming and Japanese culture. Generally had more of a chill type of feel to his content with some nice background music and just trying to make it feel like a vibe. Then we had Keudae, the guy who would do scripted video essays off of his content with a huge input into comedic effects in his
A team
videos.
that had never worked on an anime before. To the surprise of everybody, that made Berserk 2017 look like Violet Evergarden using animation techniques never before seen in the history of the medium. In summary, Anime of the Year.
And lastly, we have CDogVA, the guy who would strip in front of cameras to put on terrible cosplays.
Oh my god, Naruto, are you okay? What do you mean? Your village is burning down. Can't you see it? It's getting hot in here. Yeah, Naruto, it's getting hot.
And who screamed into a mic as a voice actor.
Hey, it's me, Sonic, everyone. How are you guys doing? Whoa, Tails, when I said I wanted the chili dog, that's not what I meant. Why? Tails, that's not where the chili dog goes. Gotta go fast, Tails! Ah! That's some real dumb bitch energy I just gave that audition, that's for sure.
Can you tell why this guy has a primarily female audience? Cause I cannot. Well, in 2020, they started a podcast together. They would name this podcast Trash Taste, and it would actually start off getting pretty successful pretty quickly. Now, they marketed the podcast as an anime podcast, but it kinda wasn't one. They didn't really talk about anime much on the podcast, which kinda made it into an anime podcast that doesn't talk about anime. Yeah. Also, before anyone tells me that, are you really gonna sit here, you know, watching an anime podcast? Dude, like, go touch some grass or something. I have this for you. Oh, that feels so good. Man, touching grass is satisfying. What, did you think I would touch grass? I live in fucking Sweden. We have a Swedish winter at the moment. I'm not gonna go out and touch fucking grass. It's gonna be colder than, I don't know, snow? It's not gonna be colder than snow. That's the stupidest thing you could have said. With touching some grass jokes aside, yes, I bought the Touch Some Grass simulator for that specific clip. With Trash Taste growing more in popularity, it kind of became a question of how did this happen? But in actuality, it's pretty simple. They started Trash Taste at a very perfect moment. They started just as COVID was starting to get really big, and in all honesty, they were talking about a topic that there wasn't much concurrence in. You see, there was no other big anime podcast that could essentially be their rivals, so if they just kinda joined in, created their own podcast, it was pretty clear they were gonna blow up pretty quickly. After all, you're putting 3 of the most popular anime YouTubers in the same room to talk shit. And that's what makes it so enjoyable. Even if they don't talk much about anime, what makes it enjoyable isn't the part of having them talk about anime, but rather having them essentially just kind of talk shit. They're talking about whatever the fuck they want. And it makes it into a very enjoyable sequence of conversations. They tend to kind of go off and they constantly end up talking about different things, which makes it enjoyable and even rewatchable because it's just great. With that, also creating a clips channel to essentially post more popular clips from the podcast for people that don't want to sit down and watch an entire 2-hour podcast every week. I don't blame you. As well as starting Trash Taste After Dark, essentially a streaming channel where they would put up vlogs from their live streams. With a working formula, great content, and enjoyable conversations, as well as in a genre where most people aren't going to be, yeah, it gets pretty interesting. Then adding on that they also bring on guests that a lot of creators don't tend to bring on, like recently bringing on PewDiePie, a creator that can be pretty hard to get on your podcast, although other podcasts have done it. It's not often that you see creators like him on a podcast. The real thing that really makes Trash Taste as successful as it is are the boys. It's pretty obvious throughout the entire podcast that these guys are good friends. They constantly have interesting discussions, arguments, and really bad takes.
Boneless or bone?
Bone.
Boneless.
Boneless, man.
Boneless.
I'm a boneless kind of guy, man. I'm a boneless kind of guy.
Get that bone out of there. If I can't eat it, get it out of my face.
Sometimes I just don't want to go through the process of being like a fucking
Thank
animal
you.
and tearing this shit limb
Thank you.
from limb.
It tastes
I'm
better.
not.
I just
no,
want
it
to
doesn't,
no,
bro.
Better.
Full of shit.
You're
It tastes
you're
better.
like
You
trying to
are-
play Doom Eternal with this
What
chicken.
are you talking
I do
You
not.
are full of shit.
What are you talking about?
I don't
If
want
I,
to rip.
if I gave you 2 plates, one of them came from a bone chicken, one of them came from a boneless chicken, you would not be able to tell a fucking difference.
You would not.
Guarantee.
You
I
would
know.
not.
I
You
would.
not.
I would.
You would
Guarantee
not.
you will
would
not be able.
You
You
would
sound
not.
like Maylene right now.
The moisture is there. It's more natural flavor of the chicken.
No,
It tastes the
You're full of
texture.
shit.
The texture is better
You're
as
full of
well.
shit.
Everything is better
The
on a
texture's
bone
better.
chicken.
You
The only
sometimes
thing,
get the veiniest motherfuckers that have
The
been
only
pumping
thing-
steroids into these chickens.
the only thing that is a detriment is the fact that it's a bone chicken. But I will happily pay the price for a better tasting chicken.
No,
okay,
It's just-
man.
okay.
And then like when you get to the ends, this shit does not want to come off the bone.
No.
You have to like be like a feral animal to get this thing off the fucking bone.
It's just time
I have
wasting.
to break my teeth. I just
It is worth it for the
No,
better
it's
taste.
not.
Okay.
No, it's not, because you can eat way more chicken. You know, because boneless chicken is just chicken breast.
Yeah.
Cut up.
Yeah.
Right? It's amazing.
It's not. It's not always chicken breast. Boneless
chicken.
chicken.
Yeah, boneless
boneless
chicken.
chicken
Chicken
is it is always chicken breast. And
I mean, come on, who doesn't eat their pizza crust? Come on, Garnt and PewDiePie, but Garnt. Pizza crust joke aside, the reason why Trash Taste is so enjoyable is no other reason than the chemistry between the guys. You can tell that the guys are having fun, being themselves, having their own discussions, and just trying to keep it to a relatively natural conversation. That's kind of what's so great about it. Just being able to watch these guys have these discussions about certain things can turn into some very interesting content that you don't really tend to see in other places. And to top it off, they also add very interesting specials. They have a chess tournament special. They have a car drifting special. I know I'm very good at this. They have a cycling special and more. And it's just enjoyable to watch all these different specials and being able to sit down and enjoy them. Essentially what I'm saying is, if you want to watch a good podcast that just kind of has a great vibe to it, Trash Taste is pretty perfect for it. But I don't want to sit here and be the guy to essentially tell you guys constantly the same thing over and over. And I do also kind of have to go off and do my own thing here. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video today. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.